This is BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM from BetQL.
Welcome back to BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM. Aaron Hawksworth, Joe Ostrowski with you. NFL free agency is almost here. We're taking a look at teams that have the most cap room. So we're working our way down here, starting with the team, the Bears, that had the most. Now we pick up the conversation with the New England Patriots. $36.41 million in cap room. Bill Belichick is earning his money, okay? He has a quarterback under a rookie deal. Congratulations, that's great. But nobody seems to like the guy. Then you have the drama with Bailey Zappi. And now you've got all these guys who are going to hit free agency as well. That's a lot to figure out. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Bill isn't taking a ton of vacation this offseason. There's quite a bit he needs to figure out in order to turn this team around. I don't know where you start. I mean, I guess you've got the Mac Jones situation, but are we even convinced that he is the guy?
Oh, God, no. People wanted him removed last year in season. They thought it was ridiculous. It was going to be Bailey Zappi time, right? See what you have there. So I keep hearing people connecting various receivers to the Patriots, and that doesn't make the most amount of sense to me. Now, yes, they have issues at the position, but part of it is because of their own free agents. Like Jacoby Myers is viewed by some as the best receiver out there. So they're going to take the best receiver in free agency and just let him walk. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't like him. There's going to be change there, but I don't know that they're going to go out and overspend. That's not something Belichick does. He does not go out and overspend for wide receivers. I mean, unless we're talking about an over-the-top move, a star player not making a ton of money like back in the day when they were so close. He knows they're not so close. And what do they do in the draft? What do they typically do in free agency? They're looking for value. In the draft, they're constantly moving down. Why? For the value. Let's accumulate picks. And in free agency, a lot of times they come in, they swoop in tier 2, tier 3. Where's the value? They're not the team that typically overpays. Or when they have, maybe it's been a bit of a mistake.
It's like a Randy Moss situation.
Yeah, but like even that was value. It was a situation where a player wanted to get a ring, and they were able to get some value on it. They weren't overpaying. So there's definitely going to be some shuffling around with this team. Maybe some additions, offensive line, wide receivers, but they're not going to be out there spending the most amount of money.
Yeah, and they have some guys hitting free agency. Devin McCourty, Jonathan Jones. You mentioned Jacoby Myers, Isaiah Wynn, Damian Harris. It's a lot. So I think that, they've got a lot of decisions to make. It's hard to know what honestly makes sense because I don't know who they're going to focus on re-signing either.
Yeah, I've seen some people connect Orlando Brown. Some say Robert Woods could be a fit there. Yeah, I don't have an argument with that. Also look to the secondary, because what does Belichick care about more than anything? We know his defensive background, and he works with the players in the secondary, and he's really developed some guys. But they have some free agents there, so there could be some shuffling. I would when you look at the roster. Isn't it amazing? Like how do they contend, especially in that AFC, in that division where everybody is on the rise? You already have the Bills established as a championship contender. Don't know if they're actually going to break through, but the Jets are a quarterback away, and then you have the Dolphins on the rise, and they've just got to figure out what's happening at quarterback and make a couple of changes. But like we could sit here, if it wasn't for Belichick, we'd all be sitting here making the case for them to finish basement in the division.
Yep, and I was reading that they are looking at cornerbacks, Jamel Dean, maybe James Bradbury, and they've also met with a couple of guys. Eli Ricks out of Alabama just met with the Pats, and then Penn State cornerback Joey Porter Jr. His father is former NFL linebacker Joey Porter, also met with the Pats this week. So interesting to see what they do. Can't wait to get to this one. The Bengals. $36.23 million in cap room. Obviously, everybody knows they need help when it comes to their offensive line. And
Right.
what else are they going to do? They have some guys that they need to focus on paying as well. So they've got some decisions to make there in Cincinnati.
Certainly. So how many more changes are you going to make with that offensive line? We remember at the end of the season, they were missing 3 starters on that O-line. But when you look at it, okay, what's like, how healthy are some of these veterans going to be? They were missing both tackles at the end, Lyle Collins and Jonah Williams, but they're both under contract. Now, they could make some changes here, so we shall see. But I don't know. It looked like they did turn a corner when they were all healthy, that the offensive line was playing just fine. And then they all got injured. So can you really kill them for 3 guys getting injured at the same time? I don't know that you can. Maybe they feel pretty good about their offensive line. And the only one up is a backup, Max Sharping, who at the end of the season was forced into a starter's role. If I'm the Bengals, my big concern is the secondary. Now, Awuzie, he was their best corner, and he went down to a season-ending injury. And they obviously missed him. But we know how strong they are with defensive coordinator, right? So there's some trust there. But Von Bell, Jesse Bates, Eli Apple, you could lose all of these guys, even Trey Flowers, who's a backup. You could end up losing all of these guys in free agency. So that would be my big concern if I'm a Bengals fan, that, boy, I know everybody's talking about the offensive line. It was a run of bad luck. Let's hope we have everyone ready for the start of the season. We saw them turn the corner. They were working well together, and then they all got hurt. But let's worry about the secondary, especially since we're a title contender, and we need to take down some of these teams with elite quarterback play if we're going to make another run at this thing.
Yeah, not only that, but they also have to decide, do they want to extend Joe Burrow as well? That's on the table, and trying to figure out that deal. So a lot of that'll be interesting, because this team, is going to want to win its second consecutive AFC championship, contend. So they don't want to lose too many pieces and regress, with all these key free agents, especially defensively. But then you also have those cornerbacks. There are a few cornerbacks that are available in free agency as well. So maybe they can find some value and get a few things done. How about Houston? $34.29 million in cap room. Oh man, this one is going to be interesting. Yeah, go back to the Bears. Rebuilding, what do they need? Pretty much everything. Can't go wrong there. Too bad they don't have as much to spend. Not even close compared to the Bears. $34.29 million. So what do you think they should focus on?
Well, they got 2-12, right? So that's, you don't talk about the quarterback because they're starting over, and they're probably going to take Bryce Young if he falls to them, or does somebody move up for that number one, take Bryce Young, and then you take C.J. Stroud? You would think it's going to be one of those 2 quarterbacks. And then at 12, what a lot of mocks are expecting is they're going to pair their quarterback of the future with a top wide receiver. They might get the first receiver off the board at number 12. We've seen teams do this in the past. Didn't the Bengals do this when they drafted Burrow? Then they came back, I think, and took Higgins in the second round, and now we're talking about him. We've seen a bunch of teams do this. When you get the quarterback, get a great receiver. Or no, it was Chase the next year. Remember when Burrow was pushing for his former LSU teammate? So teams do this. The problem is the receiving group isn't as strong as we've seen in the past, but that would make a lot of sense. So what I'm saying is I'm not sure that they're going to be involved in this mediocre wide receiver market. So what you do look at is probably on defense. The offensive line isn't great, but you've got a few players. You've got, Laramie Tunsil. You've got Cooks on the outside. Maybe you draft another wide receiver. Nico Collins is still there. They brought in John Mechie. Some people like him. They drafted him last year. So I think at receiver, they're going to be okay. I would focus on the defense in free agency. If you're going to attack offense in that first round with those 2 picks, you've got to take a look at the defense. I mean, anything.
Wouldn't
I
it
wouldn't
just
tell
be
you
so
that. Yeah.
Houston Texans to draft Bryce Young, and then the whole he's short and doesn't weigh enough is a big factor, and he's a total bust. It would
Oh
just
my
be
God. Total
so
bust.
Texans.
I know.
It could happen. It's happened before.
It could. It could. They took Derek Stingley Jr. last year. Here's the other part. Maybe we're overlooking that they brought in a defensive-minded head coach in DeMeco Ryans, but maybe that's part of the reason they would use free agency and a lot of this dough that they have and attack some defensive players instead.